Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Monday, December 10th, 2018. Before we get into today's headlines, thought we'd go back in time and look at what happened in the past on this same day in history. So, I noticed there were a lot of Nobel Peace Prizes given out on December 10th, and it's a perfect day for the award. December 10th leaves 21 days left in the year. In the most pure cipher, Nobel equals 21, as does peace. And also in the base cipher, Nobel Peace Prize equals 73, which is the 21st prime number. So, some people who got it on this day in history include Martin Luther King Jr. He received it in 64, the year of the Civil Rights Act. Civil Rights Act was on July 2nd that year, the midway point. The acronym MLK Jr. 64, like civil rights. Remember, MLK was killed on April 4th, 4-4, in the year 68. Then 44 years later, number 44 was elected Barack Hussein Obama, whose name is also 64. MLK killed on 4-4. Malcolm X killed on a date with a life lesson number of 44. His assassin Thomas Hagen got 44 years in prison. Thomas Hagen even equals 44 like kill. Another man who got the award on this day in history was President Theodore Roosevelt. He became the first American to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for helping them to mediate an end to the Russo-Japanese War. And this came 44 days after his birthday, or on his 45th day of his age. Theodore equals 45. With regards to him ending a military conflict 44 days after his birthday, of course, military is 44. Big number in the history of military. We talked a little bit about that last Friday on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Something we talk about frequently on the channel. In 1931, Jane Addams became the first American woman to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. The co-recipient was Nicholas Murray Butler. And I know she got the award on her 96th day of her age. And her surname, that interesting spelling for Addams, has that Gematria 42 and 96. Those numbers that have a strong mathematical relationship. The divisors of 42 sum to 96. And another one in history, 1994, Yasser Arafat, Shimon Peres, and Yitzhak Rabin, all leaders of Israel, received the Nobel Peace Prize, pledging to pursue their mission of healing the anguished Middle East. Don't forget, the Middle East was carved up after the World Wars. They made the Arab League on March 22nd in history, World 322. Israel being installed there didn't help anything. But what jumped out about the date of this award was that it came exactly 47 weeks. We know how special 47 is. Israel was recognized as a nation by the United Nations in the year 47. But Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated exactly 47 weeks after the award, November 4th, 1995. And his assassin supposedly killed him for his involvement in trying to negotiate peace in the Middle East. Don't forget that assassin in Jewish gematria equals 411. That date, November 4th, can be written 4/11, kind of like how JFK was shot from 411 Elm Street, street that we now think of with nightmares thanks to Hollywood. Freddy Krueger. Also in this day in history, one of my favorite singers of all time died in a plane crash, Otis Redding. His death is in my book, as is Yitzhak Rabin's. Got a lot of infamous deaths in the book. But Otis Redding died in a plane crash in Wisconsin. Remember, Wisconsin, one of those states that equals 44 like kill. In fact, the only other one that sums to 44 is Georgia. And Otis Redding died on his 93rd day of his age. He was 26 years old. Saturn has that gematria of 93 and 26. Saturn connected to death and judgment. And this also happened in the year 67. Number that we see often around ritual sacrifice. The phrase blood sacrifice equals 67. There's a lot more little notes to Otis Redding's death, cover it more thoroughly in my book. But just before his death, he had recorded his best-selling song, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. I still remember being a little boy hearing that song on the radio, and I would try so hard to whistle. And then one day, finally, the sound came out through my lips that sort of sounded like a whistle. Fast forward into today, NASA's in the news. They got a big announcement. The Voyager 2 spacecraft reaches interstellar space after 4 decades exploring solar system. And this is supposedly the second man-made object to reach interstellar space. The first was Voyager 1. Last year in December, there was a big news with Voyager 1. That news came, well, we'll go back and look at it. We'll go back and look at it and see the parallels here. So today, December 10th, 2018 is a date with a life lesson number 33. Voyager, the name of the craft, equals 33. The Voyager 1 made it to interstellar space on August 25th, 2012. 8 plus 25, that was another date with a 33 connection. Go back and show you that information. Voyager 1 launched on September 5th, 5/9. Freemasonry sums to 59 in Hebrew and English. Freemasonry in control of the space program. Voyager program also has this gematria of 71, like interstellar space. These 2 Voyager vehicles, part of that program. On August 25th, 2012, data from Voyager 1 indicated that it had become the first human-made object to enter interstellar space. And then last year, we got a news story in December. Voyager 1 fires its thrusters for first time since 1980. This came last year. And when you read the story, it said that the story came out December 2nd, but the date that it fired its thrusters was November 28th. And November 28th is the day leaving 33 days left in the year. So the Voyager fires its thrusters on the day leaving 33 days left in the year. Again and again. Repetitive news by similar numerical patterns. And with regards to this most recent story that just came out today, the news was announced today by NASA, but they said that they believe the Voyager 2 actually reached interstellar space on November 5th. Today they confirmed the data. Again, it's so far away that it takes a while to get the information. But here it says this, I'll just read it. Voyager 2 is now NASA's longest running mission with 41 years under its belt. Remember, 41 is the 13th prime. In last year's update, they said the craft was 13 billion miles from Earth. This boundary is where hot solar winds meets cold interstellar space, and it's called the heliopause. Mission scientists compared data from instruments on Voyager 2 to determine that the actual date of the crossing was November 5th, when the solar wind particles around the probe dipped greatly, meaning it left the heliosphere. So there's a lot of things that are interesting about November 5th. In Jewish gematria, Saturn equals 511. That date can be written 5/11. Saturn, last year I pointed out how the picture of Voyager 1 had Saturn in the background, the illustration. Voyager has the gematria of 93 in the ordinal cipher, just like Saturn does. So there's the Saturn relationship with November 5th. The date can also be written 11/1, like 115. Freemasons, the plural equals 115, so does Masonic. Again, Masonry is in control of NASA's space program. Also, from November 5th to today's announcement is 35 days later, and NASA equals 35. How perfect. With regards to that term interstellar, it has gematria of 153, which is the 17th triangular number, meaning when you add 1 through 17, it equals 153. Space equals 17. Mason equals 17. So, see where they contrived these names from. Also in the headlines today, Theresa May pulls the plug on Brexit vote. And today has the life lesson number of 33. Again, Brexit equals 33, so is England. TM, the initials for Theresa May, same initials for Margaret Thatcher, the only two female leaders of the nation, both 33. Many times I've talked about the parallels with Theresa May and the royal family, seemingly an agent of the royal family, which has a lot of influence in this world. Notice today's news comes on her 71st day of her age. Royal is 71. How old was Princess Diana, or how old was Queen Elizabeth when Princess Diana died? Today's homework assignment. But notice that Theresa May is 62 years old. With the alphabetic order, Queen equals 62. Remember, the Queen, her reign began February 6th, the date that can be written 6/2. Her coronation was on June 2nd, another date that can be written 6/2. Both dates can also be written 2/6. Queen is 26 when you use the alphabetic order and rules of numerology. You know, that's just making the Q instead of being the 17th letter. The numerology is 17 is 1 plus 7 is 8. U, the 21st letter, becomes 2 plus 1 is 3. E is 5, E is 5. And the 14th letter, 1 plus 4 is 5. You add 8 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5 is 26. So that's the way world elite operate, by the code. When Aretha Franklin died this year, the Queen of Soul, it was all by these numbers. Covered that very thoroughly. This news also comes 33 weeks and 3 days into the Queen's age. How perfect is that? For another 33 on the board. Must be a coincidence. Some other top headlines this morning, including the Supreme Court siding with Planned Parenthood. That definitely upset a lot of Catholics, which is quite the surprise from a very Catholic Supreme Court, as we've covered. We'll look more at that. The Russian spies back in the news. Funny story from the beginning. Going to show you what's up with the Russian spy in the headlines today. What has to do with Trump and Putin. And the Dow had a very bad morning, but has recovered since. Again, it's in roller coaster mode with Wall Street. But here it is, December 10th, 2018. Date with 33 numerology. Dow slides after Brexit drama. Brexit 33, Dow Jones 33. Goes perfectly with the date. See it again and again. Dow has very big days one way or the other on 33 dates again and again. Earlier this year, the 33rd day of the year, February 2nd, it's when the Dow fell 666 points. Dow Jones also equals 666 in the Sumerian Gematria. The CEO of the Planned Parenthood, her name is Cecile Richards. Birthday is July 15th, which interestingly enough is also the same day that this news broke about the Russian spy. But from her birthday to today's big ruling in her organization's favor is a span of 149 days, which is the 35th prime number. And again, we have this very Catholic Supreme Court that just went through the very Jesuit ritual with Brett Kavanaugh. And it's no secret the Catholic Church is very much against abortion, which Planned Parenthood is associated with. And this is not an accident. You know, all of this news is meant to divide the people, work them up, keep them swaying back and forth. I just want to remind people about Planned Parenthood, though. I used to work for a teen homeless shelter, and Planned Parenthood, they do more than just abortion. They provide services for all sorts of at-risk youth. You know, people just think of this organization as abortion, 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 but really they provide a lot of guidance and counseling for young women in desperate situations. And I just want people to think about that because so many people absolutely hate this organization. You know, remember, there's nothing in this world that's all bad or all good. And I know Planned Parenthood does do some good in this world. So just want to remind you about that. For this other story that was a top headline this morning, accused Russian spy Maria Butina, however you say it, she was arrested July 15th. United States equals 157 with the alphabetic order. I want to show you what's so perfect about her arrest July 15th when the news broke, and then today's news about her reaching a plea deal. So the numerology for July 15th, let me zoom this in to make sure you can read it nice and big. The date numerology for July 15th was almost the exact same as December 10th, 2018, which is today's headline. And notice spy equals 60. Both dates had 60 numerology. Today's date has 15 numerology. These are the only differences. July 15th, it was 24 in that method. December 10th, it's 15. So good day for spy news today, 60 and 15. And notice both dates also had 40 connections. We got a Russian spy in the U.S., United States 157, like how the news broke July 15th. United States also 40. And with the alphabetic order, U.S. is use the 21st letter, S is the 19th. 21 plus 19, 40. When you turn the alphabetic order around, USA is 40 as well. But this news, it comes 148 days after her arrest, or also a span of 149 days, like we just talked about. The name Donald J. Trump with the alphabetic order is 148. The word fraternal is 148 with the reverse alphabetic order. From Trump's birthday to today's news is 179 days. That's the 41st prime. Butina, her surname's 41, so is USA. And then Putin, from his birthday, October 7th to today, is 64 days. And look at what Russian spy is, 64. Her name, also, with the alphabetic order, Maria Butina is 109. When you flip the alphabetic order around, Russian spy is 109. Spies are usually a military operation, military also 109. So I don't think any accident the way this is all working out. Again, these news stories that involve Russia and the U.S., they're usually perfectly synced with Trump's birthday and Putin's. It's like when they met in Helsinki, it was 33 days from Trump's birthday, 84 from Putin's. Masonry's 3384. Both numbers relevant to both nations under the same type of Zionist Masonic leadership. Just like when they met in Helsinki, the first thing they talked about, Trump and Putin, out of all the things they could have discussed, was defending Israel. That was priority one. I'll remind you that Israel's 64, so is Zion, so is Thelema. Speaking of the number. Since the market collapsed this morning, it bounced back. What brought it back was Brexit being thrown off the table. And then also what caused the collapse this morning is that iPhones were going to be banned by the Chinese government, but now Apple is appealing that decision. So that gave some more market confidence. But again, all of these stories are contrived. We're living in the time of the planned demise of the market. They only brought it up so high to make it fall down, you know, in the dramatic fashion that's coming. There's no reason for it to get as high as it got. Donald Trump, House of Cards, Humpty Dumpty, the Berlin Wall, all the riddles we've been talking about for years now. Another story over the weekend, Jamal Khashoggi's last words, "I can't breathe." This came December 9th, 2018. And I noticed right away, I said, oh, perfect. This date has 59 date numerology, just like how when this news broke, it broke October 11th, 2018. That's when it all started with Jamal Khashoggi. October 11th, 2018, both dates with 59 numerology. And not only that, but then I looked and I was like, I wonder if it's 59 days. That looks like it could be about 59 days. So I had to measure October 11th to December 9th. Yep, 59 days later, his last words, "I can't breathe." And what I had just seen in the headlines just 2 days before this was Eric Garner. Eric Garner was back in the headlines, the man who was choked out in New York City, whose last words were, "I can't breathe." I thought, that doesn't seem like a coincidence. I can't breathe. So his last words were, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And here it was, just right before Eric Garner on Pearl Harbor Day. Eric Garner's mother reacts to seeing her son's murderer appear in court. The man whose last words were, "I can't breathe." And those words have standout gematria. 74, like Masonic, like killing. Big number here. 218, like death. 52 also connects to death. 106 connects to authority, prophecy. So I don't know what truly happened to Jamal Khashoggi, but what I do know is that this entire sequence of news events have been perfectly by the code day after day, without fail. And I mean, I've done a lot of videos and a lot of blog posts talking about Jamal Khashoggi now. So here was another story over the weekend. You might have caught this. Former Miss Kentucky charged with sending nude photos of herself to 15-year-old student. And reportedly, she did this on Snapchat, which is an application that I can't figure out how to use. But I noticed right away she's 28 years old, and Snapchat in the most pure cipher is 28. Then I noticed that Miss Kentucky's 44, and Snapchat, when you flip the alphabetic order around, is 44, like the word nude is, just using the alphabetic order. So I thought, okay, there's some rhyme and reason to this. Then I noticed her name was Ramsey Beers, which equals 193, the 44th prime. So I was like, man, you know, what's Miss Kentucky doing sending some nudes to a 15-year-old former student? This story just doesn't make sense. She's charged with 4 counts. This news broke December 8th, 2018, a date with 58 numerology. The student went to Andrew Jackson Middle School. Apparently, she also taught there for a little bit. It's where they crossed paths at Andrew Jackson Middle School. Notice Andrew Jackson Middle School, 139. Again, date numerology of 58. Freemasonry, 139 and 58 in Andrew Jackson. Well-known Mason. Supposedly also went after the banks. I just wonder what really goes on in these stories. Are people paid to shame themselves? I mean, why is a beautiful woman sending nudes to little boy? Doesn't make any sense. I guess at 15, you're not really a little boy anymore. I definitely was a little boy when I was 15, but I don't know. I don't remember too many 28-year-old women being after me. So here's another story with a teacher in recent days. Margaret Giesinger. Quite a wild name. I mean, it could be, but I just look at that name right away and say, is this a real name? Giesinger. So she's 52, right? Margaret Giesinger, 52, a former teacher at University Preparatory High School in Visalia. Is that how you say that town? Visalia? People are always mad when I mispronounce their town names. It's like, look, there's so many different ways to pronounce the English words. I don't know what your town's called for sure. Visalia, that town. Anyway, I said, okay, 52. They want us to know she's 52. Okay. So you put in her name, right? Margaret is 52. Giesinger's 52. They say that she got, where's it at with the 6? My eyes aren't working. 6 criminal misdemeanor charges. There it is. Okay, so she's got 6 charges, right? And we've talked about this relationship with 6 and 52 so many times. My girlfriend just put on this movie the other night. I think it's called 6 Days. It's about a terrorist standoff. The word terrorist is 52 as well. And anyway, if you turn on that Netflix movie, if you have it 6 days, just right in the beginning, they put up this stat about 52, I believe 52 hostages or something like that. I'm just like, of course, 6 terrorists, 52. People don't know this stuff, but when you know it, you see it. And keep in mind, this story's out of California, which also has the Gematria 52. This story, oh, I did a typo here. I meant to write 26 days. So the video of this story of this teacher cutting children's hair. I mean, the story just doesn't even make sense. I think there's something here that I'm overlooking. Like, why would a teacher just start cutting children's hair because they don't know how to recite the national anthem? There must be something about hair I'm not getting here. But anyway, the story is she was punishing these children for singing the national anthem incorrectly, and she cut one child's hair, and then she threatened to cut another child's hair, and then the children ran out of the classroom. But in light of this coming on the day leaving 26 days left in the year, it made me start to think about last year with the Super Bowl, right? Last year, I showed how the Super Bowl was going to be the Eagles and the Patriots because of these riddles with 26 and 52. So anyway, the day leaving 26 days left in the year matters because flag equals 26. National anthem, you recite it facing the flag, right? In Francis Bacon Gematria, where capital letters matter, you had plus 26 for each capital letter. Flag's also 52. This came on the 339th day of the year. Supposedly this video of her cutting the hair. United States of America has the Gematria 339, the national anthem, the nation, the flag. I was just wondering if this might be one of those news stories that's either a tribute to a sports event that's already come or one that is to come. There's a front runner in the NFL right now, and this year the narrative has been also about the flag and national anthem, not as heavy as it was last year. But this city that this happened in is between San Francisco and California. Remember, the whole flag fiasco started with a 49er, Colin Kaepernick, taking a knee, and then that narrative just been building ever since. The protests, the riddles. Super Bowl 52 was in Minnesota, where we saw the Eagles and the Patriots meet. Philadelphia, the home of where the flag was sewn. Patriots with the flag on their helmet, the obvious national symbolism, the Patriots. So I got to think more on this story. The cutting the hair thing is what's got me all confused. I'm like, why? Why cutting hair? Such a bizarre thing. There's got to be some piece of history I don't get in this, because to me, this just looks like a completely contrived news story. I mean, again and again, the news just doesn't make sense, but you see the numbers that are coded into it. So anyway, another story. Talked about this briefly this weekend. Just want to make sure you caught this. Supposedly an FBI agent was shot and wounded over the weekend in Brooklyn, New York. And if you read the story, the first responders got the call at about 3:22 p.m. It's just a week after the death of George H.W. Bush, member of 322 Skull and Bones. This happened in Brooklyn, New York, which in Gematria sums to 223, the reflection of 322. Masonic equals 223 in Jewish Gematria. This happened on a date with 58 numerology, Freemasonry 58, Secret Society 58. The name Bush, also 58. Talked about how HW lost his brother HT at the beginning of this year on February 27th, the 58th day. Look at the name of the detective on the case, Detective Sophia Mason. Detective Sophia Mason of the New York Police Department confirmed to CNN that an FBI agent was shot, but she wouldn't provide information about the circumstances surrounding the shooting or the condition of the officer. Mason deferred CNN's questions to the FBI. You know what? I got to know what the name Sophia Mason equals, actually. I just thought it was bad enough that her name was Sophia Mason in light of the 322 in Brooklyn, New York. Sophia's got that old 68 on. Sophia Mason's 59, like Freemasonry in Hebrew and English. 167, the 39th prime, everything in New York, 39. 49, like Scottish. Sophia Mason. All right. So anyway, there was that story. Oh yeah. They said the shooting happened on 92nd Street too. I gotta remind you, the chosen ones, they're most popular in the neighborhood Brooklyn, New York. Maybe more there than any place else in the world. But notice how the Synagogue of Satan, the names for the false ones, lines up with Brooklyn, New York. And the Synagogue of Satan's also 92, like it happened on 92nd Street in Brooklyn, New York. So throw that detail in there. HW did also die on a date with 79 numerology. Another story here on Pearl Harbor Day. This happened after the podcast. James Field convicted in Charlottesville death. He supposedly ran the car into the crowd of people, killed Heather Heyer, HH. Remember, this happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, which has that gematria of 144, like Pearl Harbor Day. And December 7th can be written 12/7. This happened in Virginia, 127. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 127. The date of Heather Heyer's death, which is what this is about. Found guilty for killing this woman. She died August 12th. Sentencing December 7th. Both dates with 57 numerology, like Scottish Rite 57. So didn't seem to be any accident. Looked like more news by the numbers to me. The whole Charlottesville thing was news by the numbers when it happened. Of course. I noticed something that I don't think I've ever covered before. I was just thinking, man, they have the word lie around Trump all the time. Headlines about Trump lying, the people around him lying, Cohen and Manafort constantly with the lie headlines. And surprised I didn't notice this sooner, but I just got this. I was like, what does the word liar equal? I don't think I've ever decoded the word liar. And I just noticed that liar 68, like Donald John Trump, like The Apprentice. So been quite the theme. Years of headlines relating to lying. Somebody also asked if I could check out this story that was in a UK publication in recent months. Earthquake warning, mega tremor to strike over Christmas period. This article was about how a conspiracy theory group has said that between December 21st and 25th, there's going to be a very bad earthquake at some place in the world, which is pretty vague. But what it just made me think of is, here, I'll just use this up here. Earthquake has this gematria of 163, which is the 38th prime. Christmas has this gematria of 38, 163, the 38th prime. Earthquake also has gematria of 44 and 55. So does December, 44 and 55. So, I've just seen so many headlines over the years projecting, the great quake, the mega quake. I'm sure one day it'll come. It's just, it's kind of like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. But I see why they might even just put out a prediction like this, just the rhyme and reason with it. Mainstream media covering a story from a conspiracy theory group. But do keep that in mind, just in case it does happen. October 17th. This was published by Express in the UK. Also, wanted to make sure people caught this. The night of Thursday Night Football, December 6th, there was the death of an NFL player. This was the first game of week 14. The night this man died, dead equals 14, end equals 14. Football's 43, the 14th prime. Masonic killing, they both sum to 43, as does RIP. This man played for the Rams. And the Rams are a team that are in the running for the Super Bowl this year, absolutely. He died on his 112th day of his age on the first night of week 14. 14 has that gematria of 112. So does Super Bowl. So keep that in mind. And this was part of the reason we were able to project that the Rams would fall to 11-2 this week on Sunday Night Football against the Bears. It's also the 91st game between the two teams, and Chicago Bears equals 91. So those teams in the NFL that had an opportunity to go 11-2 did this week. What else jumped out about this man's name? Isaiah Robertson, it sums to 73. On this same day, there was the death of another former football player, Tim Rosevich. This person from Mexico keeps calling. Hey, Mexico, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take your call because I don't have a long-distance calling plan yet. I'll make an announcement someday when I have a long-distance calling plan. I know you really want to talk to me, but send some messages in the chat room or something if you're here, and I'll find out what's going on. Anyway, two former football players died on this day, Isaiah Robertson and Tim Rosevich. Both of their names, gematria 73, like sacrifice, like ritual sacrifice. With regards to Tim Rosevich, he played for the Houston Oilers. And last Thursday, we talked about how the Tennessee Titans look like the team to win because they used to be the Houston Oilers in the time of George Herbert Walker Bush. And that game was 3 months and 22 days after the coach's birthday, like how Herbert Walker was Mr. 322. At one point in the game, the score was 2-23. Pretty bizarre score. 3-2 in reverse. So anyway, before that game, a death of a former player that had played for that franchise. And it turned out he's also the roommate of Tom Selleck in college at USC. Notice he played for the Houston Oilers here. His birthday was March 14th, Pi Day, born on the 14th, dead on the day of the first game of week 14. Dead 38 weeks and 1 day after his birthday. We know about 38 in death. Death with the alphabetic order is 38. In the Sumerian cipher, where you multiply times 6, death becomes 228, 38 times 6. Notice how he died at 8 months and 22 days after his birthday. That's 228 in reverse as well. I noticed that Tom Selleck is 73 years old right now, since he's brought up in the article how they were roommates and both went on to be actors and celebrities. This man's name, Tim Rosevich, look at it in gematria. 170, 62, 73. Sacrifice, 62. 73, 170. Tim Rosevich, also 154. Ritual sacrifice, 154, 73. Faithful name. And the man was born in 46 too. So it's like he fills out the board. His death, it came 311 days after Tom Selleck's birthday. 311, the 64th prime. We know kill equals 64. We talk about those dates that have 44 and 64 numerology. Kill 44 and 64. It's also 44 weeks and days after Selleck's birthday. If you counted the full span, it would be 44 weeks and 4 days from Selleck's birthday. So also this weekend, Heisman Trophy winner. And for back-to-back years, we have Oklahoma Sooner quarterbacks winning the Heisman. This year, Kyler Murray. Friday Night Live Decode, I pointed out that he was the only junior that was up for the award as a finalist. And historically, juniors have won the Heisman more often than any other class. And there's a riddle to that. This man's name's Murray. He played for the Sooners. Murray and Sooners 33. He's a junior 33. And look at Heisman 33. Also, the date of the award, it was a date with a life lesson number 31. He played at Oklahoma. Last year when Baker Mayfield won it, Baker Mayfield equals 239. And he won the award on his 239th day of his age last year, did Baker Mayfield. Remember, that was a big number all last year. 239, the 52nd prime. We called the Super Bowl off the September 23rd riddle. Flag was sewn at 239 Arch Street in Philadelphia. Philadelphia goes on to win the Super Bowl. So those were big numbers last year. Baker Mayfield won his game on his 239th day, 239 days after his birthday this year, the day after his former school won the Heisman again. From college to pro, it's all scripted by the code. Again, also covered this, just want to make sure people saw it. The Bulls suffered their worst loss in franchise history at home with a 56-point defeat to the Celtics. There's been these stories in the media connecting these cities in the NFL. You know, Tom Brady saw a bear in the woods in the offseason. The Patriots play just outside of Boston in Foxborough. You know, the Patriots once got smoked in the Super Bowl by the Bears, the 85-86 season. The Bears, with the revolutionary 4-6 defense, won 46-10. Chicago equals 46, just using the alphabetic order. 46-10 is 56 points. And I pointed out that the day after this basketball game was the NFL games, and from those NFL games to the Super Bowl's 56 days later. And the thing about the Celtics winning with 133 is football equals 133. Mitch Trubisky's born August 20th, the day leaving 133 days left in the year. That's the quarterback of the Chicago team. And with regard to the Bulls going down with 77, you know, Chicago's divided into 77 neighborhood areas. But the chosen one for the Patriots, he's also born in 77. And Boston has that Gematria 77. When you write out 56, the difference in the margin of the score, it equals 118, like Celtics, like Patriots, like Tom Brady. So something's going on here, you know. That game was 57 days before the Super Bowl. The basketball game was 1 day before the NFL games. And what do we know about 57 in championship and Super Bowl? You guys who pick bowl games, remember these numbers. Take a good look at what records might be with some of your bowl game teams. Have a big clue there. Those numbers hit again and again. Dolphins at Vikings. That's the upcoming NFL game this week. Just real quick, if you follow the NFL, they had a play called the Miami Miracle this week. The Miami Miracle. And look at who they're going to play next week. The Minnesota Miracle. With the alphabetic order, just using A as 1 up to Z as 26, Miracle equals 61. When you use the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, Miracle equals 34. The Vikings had the 61-yard miracle play last year. The Dolphins just won their game with 34 points. Before they scored their 34th points, there were 61 points on the board. You know, they end the game with the miracle. Now they're going to go play in Minnesota. So what a coincidence. On my YouTube sports channel, talked about Rob Gronkowski, how he didn't belong on the field, how from his birthday to his blowing tackle at the end of the game, 209 days later, Miami Dolphins equals 209. Not by accident. All scripted ritual. They couldn't have scripted it any better. And for those of you not participating in the sports decodes, Friday night we talked about why Tennessee looked golden to beat Gonzaga in the Jerry Colangelo Classic. Again, you want to understand this knowledge because you can apply it to news, you can apply it to sports, you can see how news and sports are connected together. Anyway, we like Tennessee to beat Gonzaga because the numbers lined up. The game was in Phoenix at the Jerry Colangelo Classic. Phoenix 91, Jerry Colangelo Classic. Gonzaga was undefeated. They were 9-0. With a loss, they'd fall to 9-1 like 91. And Tennessee was 6-1. With a win, they'd improve to 7-1 as they did over Gonzaga. 71, Catholic 71. Gonzaga's a Catholic school. Gonzaga Bulldogs 71. The other year, we called North Carolina over Gonzaga before the tournament even began, and it would be all about 71. The bracket was set on the 71st day of the year. Lo and behold, North Carolina won with 71 points. And there's some other things about this final score. The Catholic school went down with 73 points, like there's 73 books in the Catholic Bible. You add the score together, that's 149 points, the 35th prime. And like we said at the beginning, Catholics 35. The Catholics, the Jesuits, they have a lot of influence over the world of sports, and seemingly the most over college basketball. Basketball stars, a lot of them went to Catholic Jesuit high schools and universities. And with regards to Phoenix in 91, does it remind you of the Economist cover from 1988, January 9th, 9/1, the Phoenix rising out of the ashes? Again, I didn't know that sports were rigged by this code until I started researching the code in terms of news. And then I noticed that the same patterns I was seeing in the news stories that I was researching were showing up in the sports scores. And I said, wait a minute. How far does this code go? Well, now we know. It's 5 years later. Hey, speaking of sports and news, Kareem Hunt. We decoded his story in real time the day the news broke, which was the same day that Bush died. At least so we were told. Remember, Kareem Hunt equals 116. He got busted 116 days after his birthday. But now they've come out and said that the altercation that got him busted happened at 3:22 in the morning. Later that same day, George Herbert Walker Bush, Mr. 322, would die. What are the odds? Like, seriously, what are the odds? And this happened at a hotel called The Nine. Remember, 9 equals 42 in Gematria, just using the alphabetic order. And he got shamed that this happened February 10th, 42 weeks before the news broke. And it was a date with 59 numerology. And they love to shame black men with the numbers 42 and 59. The woman was 19 years old, the chaos number, order out of chaos. Looks like this whole thing contrived. Kareem Hunt's a millionaire. That's why he'd participate. He's got millions of dollars. I could write, the best books for the rest of my life, educating the world. I could pump out videos 24/7, 365 until the day I die. I'll never make anywhere near as much money as Kareem Hunt did. All you guys go, I don't understand why. You don't understand why they do it. How much do these guys get paid? These guys make more in a minute than you make in your lifetime. That's how. Plus, I'm sure he ends up back in the league. He's got to, Also, another great story here. There's this story about the Uber ride that was paid for that night, $112. This story just came out right before the Chiefs improved to 11-2 in Week 14. Again, news and sports. It's all interconnected. See how it's all interconnected when you know the code. By the way, Chiefs equals 112. Now, I don't know what to make of this right here. This story just was, dazzling my brain. It's like, why? So the story is this guy wears number 77 in the NBA, and he just had this great, already his career best moment against Houston, scoring 11 straight at the end to win the game. Number 77 does it against Houston, right? So 11, the master number. And what I noticed is from his birthday to this performance was 9 months and 11 days, right? And if you've seen my work on September 11th, you know all about 77, right? So I'm thinking, wow, they put these numbers together for the basketball ritual too. And I'm just thinking about why. Why would they do this for a basketball game between two Texas teams? Is it a tribute to the Bushes? I mean, the Bushes have some establishment down in Texas. Perhaps that's what it is. George Herbert Walker Bush gave the speech on September 11th, 1990 about the New World Order. Ended up dying in Houston. His son was president when 9/11 went down. When you write out September 11th, it equals 77. It was all 77 at the Pentagon. If you've never seen my work on September 11th and 77, just do a little search in my videos or read the book. It's the riddle to know. But then I noticed down here in the article about this, then they mentioned about how he just had another big game against the team from the 33rd state, the Blazers, who won their only championship in 77. And the numbers up here, 111, 102, I was just like, okay, this is just getting too weird because September 11th leaves 111 days left in the year, and they say the attack lasted 102 minutes. There's that documented from PBS about 102 minutes that changed America. That's how long the supposed 9/11 attack lasted. So I just thought this was so strange. I thought, why? But maybe as I'm saying it out loud, I'm making sense of it a little bit. Because I was thinking, why would Texas? Okay, maybe it's the Bushes again. All right. And then I'm sure you've been on Google today. If not, good for you. But if you have, you've seen this Google Doodle. So I thought, okay, who died by the numbers now? And it was a tribute to Nellie Sachs, who I'd never heard of. It was her 127th birthday. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 127, the most Jewish branch of Freemasonry. And Nellie Sachs was Jewish, go figure. She was a Nobel winner. You know, we talked about the Nobel Peace Prize and why today. And I thought, wonder if there's anything suspicious about her death. And lo and behold, there was. She died on her 154th day of her age, and we see that number often around the term ritual sacrifice. So the day she died also had numerology of 34, murder and Jewish 34. And it's another survivor, right? So many survivors. So those were the main things I wanted to cover today. If you want to call in, there is a number to do so. It's 509-731-0567. Again, 509-731-0567. If not, we could wrap it up. I'm going to come to the chat too. I want to know what you guys think about doing this format. Do you think this is a good idea to do these daily podcasts that are about an hour? I have a lot of people leaving comments that, Zach, you got to stop doing these hour-long podcasts. They're too long and nobody's watching them. They said, break it up into old videos like you used to do. And, you know, I've heard other people say they like the longer presentation, all the stories in one. So it's that thing where you can't please everybody. But my goal is to get this information to be received and listened to and absorbed. And I know that when I do the smaller videos, they seem to get a lot more views. So thanks for the loyal listeners in the room. Okay, Saradwin likes them. Chacon likes them. 24/7 broadcast. I'd like to do that. You know, there we got a caller. Miss Mildred likes it. Oh, shoot. I hear. All right, caller, you're on.
Hey, Zach, how's it going?
Oh, great. It's the Gematria genius. It's going well, man. What do you got going on today?
Just two little quick points. You were bringing up Donald Trump and the Wall Street collapse. He's a metaphor, a symbol for a pending Wall Street collapse, and you gave the examples of House of Cards, Humpty Dumpty, and the Berlin Wall.
Right.
Another really strong analogy or slash metaphor or predictive program is the fall of the Wall of Jericho, which was done by the Israelites, led by Joshua. The number for Trump in Gematria, the big number for Trump is 88. The last time there was a major economic collapse was under Herbert Hoover. The initials HH. H is the eighth letter of the alphabet, so HH is 88. And Joshua is 88. And Joshua brought down the wall of Jericho using trumpets, like trumpets. So
right.
I think that's another. Yep. That's another big analogy. The other, I noticed another synchronicity. We were talking about the Congress of Wilhelmsbad, where the Illuminati officially took over Freemasonry, and it took place in the castle of the Meyer Amschel Rothschild, which kind of tells you who was on top running the show. But the heir to Meyer Amschel Rothschild's evil empire is his son, Amschel Meyer von Rothschild. And the synchronicity here is with George H.W. Bush. George H.W. Bush was born on June 12th, or 12th June, that's 6/12 or 12/6, and he was buried on December 6th, or 6th December, 12/6 or 6/12. Amschel Meyer von Rothschild was born on June 12th, or 12th June, 6/12 or 12/6, and died on December 6th, 12/6 or 6/12. So that's just another interesting synchronicity.
It is very good work.
Yep. Yeah, I just thought I'll point those two out.
People in the chat are saying, when do we get your YouTube channel?
I don't have the computer skills to do a YouTube channel, but I am looking at a blog.
Okay, very cool. I would love that.
There's like a step-by-step tutorials for people who are complete Luddites, like myself. But they're pretty simple, and yes, I'm working on a blog first. Maybe I'll progress after that, but I want to look at a blog. That's in the works. Okay,
progression. Hey, I'm not good on a computer either. I know that if I can do it, you can definitely do it too. So.
Well, yeah, I think I'll get around to it.
All right, but the blog will be a great start. I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks a lot.
All right, you have a great day.
Take it easy.
All right, take care. Yeah, I should have asked him. I'm not sure how long he's been following the work now, but it feels like it's been at least 6 months. But the whole time he's been following, he's been doing amazing work, and he just gets better and better. So. Oh, somebody did tell me about the death of that Google employee. 22-year-old found dead, I believe, on Pearl Harbor Day. I'll have to look into that story. Yeah. Google has that Gematria 34 like murder. There's got to be something bigger to that. Tonight we're going over the NFL in review. Friday night's usually where we talk about NBA picks, and then I do keep doing the videos decoding LeBron's games. You're welcome, Jen. Yeah, I must work at least 80 hours a week. L. Yeah, that is true. L's in that name. All right, you guys, let's wrap it up here for the day. Try to keep it at an hour. Be back tomorrow. I will look into the death of that Google employee. Thank you for that reminder. And again, appreciate all of you for supporting. Have a great rest of your day. For those of you into the sports thing, I'll be back. The goal is around 6 p.m., but I give myself a window on Monday night for these sports reviews. Try to start at 6, at the latest at 7. That's West Coast time, Pacific Standard Time. So add 3 hours if you're on the East Coast. All right, take care, Truth Seeker.